Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial on getting started with the Blazor Mention Component. Using the Blazor Mention Component, you can enable the mentioning of individuals, groups, or entities within a text input field, usually in a messaging or social media context. In this video, I will show you how to add the Syncfusion Blazor Mention Component to a Blazor WebAssembly application, and customize it by setting the custom height and width for the pop-up. You will also see how to customize the mention trigger character, add a suffix to the mention, change the filter type, and sort the items. Before proceeding, make sure that you have one of the following .NET SDKs installed in your machine, and one of these IDEs installed. Let's start with the project creation process. I open Visual Studio and select Create a new project. From the list of project templates, I choose Blazor WebAssembly App and name the project Blazor App Mention. I then proceed with the default target framework and click Create to complete the project creation process. The project has been created and is ready to use. If you want to know more about Blazor WebAssembly apps and how to add Syncfusion components to them, click the video link shown in the YouTube card above. Now, let's start to add the Syncfusion Blazor Mention Component. To do this, I need to install the Syncfusion Blazor dropdowns package. First, I open the NuGet Package Manager. Then in the Browse tab, search for Syncfusion Blazor dropdowns. And install it. Once the installation is completed, I open the project dependencies and check the packages section to make sure that Syncfusion Blazor dropdowns is installed. I then navigate to the imports.razor page and add the Syncfusion Blazor dropdowns namespace so that I can use the Blazor mention in any of the components available in the pages folder. Next, I open the program.cs file and add the Syncfusion Blazor namespace. I register the Syncfusion Blazor services by calling the add Syncfusion Blazor method. Then, I register a valid license key in my application using the register license method. To know where to generate a trial license key, refer to the link in the description. Following this, let me start to define the CSS for the Blazor Mention component. To do this, I need to install the Syncfusion Blazor Themes package. So, navigating to the NuGet Package Manager, in the Browse tab, I search for Syncfusion Blazor Themes and install it. Then, open the index.html file and reference the CSS file from the installed themes package. I add the script reference manually to enable better loading performance of the app. With the application setup completed, I will proceed to implementation. I open the index.razor page and remove the existing content. Then, I will add the mention component by defining the SF mention tag. Next, I need to append this mention component to a target element, and this can be done in two different ways. The first way is to insert the target element within the SF mention tag using the target component definition. And the other way is to assign any input element as the target using the target property. Now, I plan to add a rich text editor component as a target element and append the mention component to it. So, let me install the rich text editor package by navigating to the NuGet Package Manager. Within the Browse tab, I search for the Syncfusion Blazor Rich Text Editor package and install it. Once the installation is complete, I navigate to the imports.razor page and import the rich text editor namespace. Then, open the index.razor page and add the Rich Text Editor component by defining sfRich Text Editor tag with the ID property. To append the mention component to this rich text editor, I define the target property inside the sfMention tag and set the value as mention integration. Okay, let's bind a data source to the mention component. So, first, add the @code directive and define a model class userData with the property's name and email ID. Then I create a public list, data of type userData. And assign values to the properties, name and email ID. Alright, the data source is ready to bind. Now, I am going to bind this list to the mention component using the data source property. Also, I define the tItem property and assign the userData model class to notify the mention component about the data source type. Next, I am going to display the name field in the mention suggestion list. So, let me define the child content tag. And within it, I add the mention field settings tag. Then, I define the property text and set its value to name. Okay, I save the changes and run the application. You can see the rich text editor component is rendered. When I type in the special character @ the pop-up opens with the usernames in the suggestion list. By default, the height of the pop-up is 300 pixels and the width is auto. If I would like to customize the height and width of the pop-up, I can use the pop-up height and pop-up width properties. To demonstrate, I will set the pop-up height to 200 pixels and pop-up width to 250 pixels. You can see the suggestion dropdown is displayed with the custom height and width. Once I selected an item from the suggestion list, you could see only the selected item is displayed in the target component. If you want to display the mention character @ you need to enable the show mention care property. To do that, I will define the property show mention care and set its value to true. You can see the character @ is also displayed along with the selected item. Normally, the suggestion list will be triggered while typing the default trigger character @. But you can also use different characters to trigger the mention. To demonstrate this, I am going to use the hashtag character for triggering the mention. So I create a character variable mention character and set the value as hashtag in the @code directive section. Then, bind this mention character variable to the mention care property. When I type hashtag in the rich text editor, you can see the suggestion list is displayed. Suppose I would like to add a text, space, or a new line after an item is selected, I can use the suffix text property. Here, I am going to add the text welcome, so I define the property suffix text and set its value as welcome. Look at the component. When I select an item from the suggestion list, welcome is added in the suffix. Here, when I type the first name Selma and enter a space to type the second name, the suggestion list closes. Suppose I want to show the suggestion list after typing a space and retrieve the items, then I simply set Allow Spaces property to True. Look here, when I type the first name Selma and enter a space, the suggestion list is visible and retrieves the items after the space. By default, the items in the suggestion list are shown in the data source order. But I can also sort them in ascending or descending order using the sort order property. Let me demonstrate by defining the sort order property and setting its value to ascending. You can see the items in the mention component are sorted in the ascending order. By default, the Contains filter type is applied to filter the names that contain typed-in characters anywhere in it. Apart from this Contains filter type, the Syncfusion Mention Component also supports two other filter types such as starts with and ends with. Now, I would like to filter the list with the ends with filter type. So, let me define the property filter type and set the value ends with. Look at here, when I type in some characters, the relevant suggestion items are shown in the pop-up that end with my typed-in characters. Let me summarize what we have seen so far. We saw how to create a Blazor WebAssembly application and add the Syncfusion Blazor Mention Component to it. We saw how to bind a data source to it and set a custom height and width to the pop-up. We also saw how to customize the trigger character and add a suffix text to the mention. Finally, we saw how to change the filter type and sort the items. If you would like to see the working example, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also provided a link where you can see if you qualify for a free license key to use our Blazor products through our community license. If you found this video useful, do like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.